phrase, and it means the constant act of getting better. And I feel like I've always felt that way when it comes to basketball or like a lot of my outside stuff in my life. I feel like I've always wanted to get better at what I'm doing.
Hello, everyone. This is Akin Aboyade Cole. Once again, I know it's been a really long time, but welcome back to Prolific Prestige. It's been a while since I posted, some content here, but I wanted to come on here today and share my amazing conversation I've had with a very phenomenal athlete at NYU, also known as New York University. Brian Musako, also known as Moose, has gotten the opportunity to play college basketball at NYU and has had a very interesting career. So I just wanted to come here and share more about him and learn about his perspective on overcoming challenges. Hello, everyone. This is Akin. We're back with another episode of Prolific Prestige. Today, I just really want to kind of introduce a very special friend of mine, and additionally, a very, very talented individual who's actually a national champion in the NCAA for basketball specifically. Today, we're going to introduce, we call him Moose, but he goes by Brian Musako. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, did I?
That's right. That's right.
All right, there we go. All right, just introduce us real quick. Introduce yourself a little bit, Moose, and just kind of tell us about yourself and, et cetera.
Yeah, what's up? I'm Moose. My real name is Brian, but everyone calls me Moose because my last name is Musako. But yeah, I go to NYU. I'm going to my senior year of NYU now, which is crazy to think about. But I have 2 years left of eligibility, so I plan on having a good year this year, and then hopefully being able to use my extra year at whether it's NYU or somewhere else. But my journey to NYU is nothing of normal. So, I'm excited to, share my story with you, Aiken, and join your podcast today. And yeah, I actually was the runner-up. We actually did it with the national championship. We lost.
Oh, my fault. My bad. I'm updated out here, man.
You
Gotta get my
good.
facts right. What am I doing, man?
Hey, but we go hopefully win it this year. So I could be factually corrected in a year from now. So
Yeah, hopefully. All right. Yeah, just tell us about your background and your love for basketball as a kid. Like what made you want to proceed, like kind of like pursue college basketball and stuff like that. I know like as a kid I was a little hooper. I watched like, Coach Carter and all that stuff. Made me
Mhm.
want to play basketball. Obviously, I kind of took my talents to track, but just tell me about your upbringing of basketball.
Yeah, so when I was probably 6 years old, I think I was 6 years old. Um, I used to go to like aftercare, and there's like a basketball court that we used to play on all the time. And like one of my boys, like I actually haven't spoken to this kid since I like moved to New Jersey, but he knew how to like shoot the basketball regularly. And I was like, damn, like I was so fascinated by it when I was younger. Like when I was like 6, I was so fascinated by like just like the ability to like shoot a basketball because I used to shoot it granny style. So I was just so fascinated by that. And then by the time like the school year ended of that year, because we used to practice, like I used to ask him, yo, like, can you teach me how to shoot like every day? Um, After that school year ended, I was able to shoot normally, and like I just fell in love with basketball after that. Like I just had so much fun with it. And then after I lived in New York, so that's when I lived in New York. So I used to live in New York for the first 6 years of my life. I lived in Manhattan, and then I moved from Manhattan to New Jersey. And then when I moved from New Jersey, like the sports, like I don't know how to put it, like the sport, like just the sports that people like in my area are just not really basketball. So I started like getting asked to play other sports. Like I started asked to play like lacrosse, football, soccer, like all these other sports, and like it just wasn't clicking the same way that basketball was. Like I remember when I first started playing lacrosse, like I was always off sides, and I didn't even know there was like an off sides in lacrosse. So people used to get mad at me all the time. Uh, but I stopped playing those sports, and I really just fell in love with basketball. Like I just kept playing that consistently. Whereas, like I played soccer up until my freshman year, and football I had to stop because I got like 2 or 3 concussions. So I just fell in love with basketball after probably the age of like 6 or 7, and I always just wanted to go to the limit with wherever I can go with basketball. So that's always been my motivation.
I feel you. That's really cool. Yeah, no. Definitely, I feel like it's really classical for like a lot of athletes, bounce around with multiple sports and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, no, I definitely feel that for sure. So yeah, no, obviously, like you clearly based on your story and you kind of like, what has happened, like your collegiate career, like your aspirations of playing basketball in the at the college level, obviously you faced some trials and tribulations, including being cut from Franklin and Marshall your first year. Just tell me about your experience and like how you felt. Obviously, that's probably going to be very frustrating. You're going to probably feel rejected and neglected and stuff like that. But just kind of like tell me like how you interpreted that. Was there like a period of anger or rejection you felt? And I'm sure like maybe doubts crept in, continuing your basketball journey. So yeah, just kind of tell me like that process and just kind of your experience, having that very difficult experience and upbringing with, basketball.
Yeah, definitely. So, um, out of high school, like going into the Franklin and Marshall experience, I was like so locked in. Like outside of probably this year, this is like the most locked in, most focused, intentional I was with basketball. And I didn't really know what that meant because I thought like going into my senior year of high school, like I really worked really hard to get better and it really showed. And I was trying to go to another level. So I really didn't know how to do that. So I literally was started like looking up like videos of Kobe, like looking up what he did to work out. And like they were saying, like, yo, he used to wake up at like 5 a.m. every day to work out and then do this, that. So I was like, I need to do that. Like I need to wake up at 5 every day. Like I didn't really know how to progress in the right way with basketball at this point. So I was just trying to do whatever felt like was hard every single day. So I was just waking up at 5 a.m. consistently every day. I'd work out. I'd get like a little finishing handle workout in the morning. And then right after that, I go straight into my lift. And then after my lift, I go into working as a custodian. So I worked as a custodian at my high school, partially to get some money, partially so I can get gym access. And then after I was done with work, so that would be like 8 to 3, I would go straight into another workout. And then that would be my days usually. So I'd usually go through that progression every single day. And like that was like a very, I'd say that created discipline for me going into F&M, but it was also not really a sustainable progression that I was really going through. Like it was just like I was burning out because like I was waking up at 5 a.m. every day, no matter what time I went to bed, no matter how good I felt the next day. Like I wasn't really listening to my body. I was just like, all right, I need to do this hard thing so I know I'm getting better. I thought that's what meant I was getting better, right? And I was getting better, but it was to a point where I would hit, plateaus because I wasn't giving myself enough, the body enough rest or doing this and that. So I think going into F&M, I was already burnt out from how hard I worked going into that summer, not studying how to really get better at that point. And then I get to F&M, and it's the same thing. Like I'm trying to still wake up at 5 a.m. every day, work out, get my workouts in before I get to work out with the team. Like I was doing all these things. Um, and it made me realize like how much like I really love basketball at that point and how much really like my love for basketball isn't different from the people that already on the team already got the spot on the team. So I was just like, all right, like I got to keep going with this. And then the first day of practice comes because they wanted me to try, like my tryout was the first day of practice. And the first day of practice comes, and it's me and another walk on, and they basically said like if I beat the other walk on, like I'd basically get the spot on the team. And they cut the walk on the other walk on the first day of practice. And I played all right the first day of practice. I didn't think I played great, but I definitely showed that can hold my own. And then the next day they're like, all right, we'll invite you back for another day of practice. I came back another day of practice. I thought I played really well this practice, a lot better than the first day. And then the coach tells me to meet him the next Monday because the practice was on Saturday. So like I'm stressing like the whole Saturday, Sunday. I'm like, yo, did I make the team? Like I have no idea if I made the team. Da, 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 da. Like all my boys on the team are like, nah, like bro, you're cooling, bro. Like I think you made the team. Like everyone thought like I was gonna make the team. And then come that Monday, I walk in the office and the head coach is just like, you control what you can control. This is not a skill issue thing. It's just we have too many people in your position, and we don't want you to take away reps from them. So we're not gonna have a spot for you this year on the team. And like just my feeling from that it was a lot like to hear that, especially with how hard I worked going into it. Um, and it was really just like I was angry, I was really sad, I was depressed. I didn't really know what was my next move from here because my whole goal was to play college basketball and then continue to play basketball after college. Like that was my goal, regardless of whatever I did in school, whatever I studied. Like my goal was always I want to go play basketball and then continue playing basketball further on. And like that vision just never went away from me. And that's really when I had to like do my own self-reflection because I think for me, the whole reason that I was able to continue to grind and continue to want to get better after I got cut was not to put the blame on them and put the blame on myself and really do some self-reflection on like, all right, what do I need to get better at? Why was I not good enough to make this team? Why was I not able to work as hard as I when I got here? Like I had to really do that, all that self-reflection. Um, and that's really where I started to see that there's levels to this. There's really levels to this hoop shit. Like there really is. Um, and like you just have to figure out how to balance, how to be able to work out with max intention. Like I learned all these things during this process of after I got cut. And that's why I think I took a leap from when I got cut to going into my first year at NYU. So I mean, shit, like, that was a lot of talking, but it was definitely a frustrating experience to start. But I think the biggest thing from that was that I can control what I can control. So,
Yeah, no, that's special. I really like what you said about kind of controlling the controllables.
mhm,
Earlier on this podcast, I know it's been a minute since I've dropped something, but I know I touched on a little bit this philosophy called the dichotomy of control. It's based on this philosophy of stoicism, which is essentially when you look at things, like there are two things that you can do in every situation. For
mhm,
example, the weather. You come, let's say, I'm a track athlete, track meet, let's say it's a big conference championship day. It's raining, pouring outside. No one really likes running on a rainy track. This weather sucks. There's a fat headwind blowing towards me. Obviously, it's going to mess up my times. It sucks, but you kind of look at it as like, okay, can I control the weather? No, I cannot control the weather. Can I
right.
control how my mindset when I'm going into this 200-meter dash? Am I going to be complaining about the headwind, or am I going to just really just kind of execute the training I've been putting in all year, right? So you really kind of have two choices in every situation. Control what you can do with control and what you can't control, like the weather or whatever kind of like circumstance you want to put in there.
Mhm,
You can't control it, so you cannot worry about it. It's a very obviously it's difficult to kind of implement into life, but it's really important to learn, and that's great that you're able to learn that. I also like how you're able to kind of really just kind of go back to the drawing board and go back to the blueprint and kind of look and analyze what you've been doing. How can I practice smarter instead of harder? How can I be able to leverage the
mhm,
things that I'm doing right and kind of work on the things that I can improve on, right? A lot of people, when they're faced with a very, tough, scenario like that, a lot of people turn to vices. A lot of people just kind of become very pessimistic and then have this like psychological term we call learned helplessness and kind
mhm,
of essentially give up and throw in the white towel. So, I mean, definitely kudos to you. And I want to kind of commend you for, kind of
mhm,
looking within and going throughout that and just kind of being able to come up and, have resilience essentially.
mhm.
Um,
Thank you.
this kind of leads me to my next question. When people face setbacks, they have to encounter this point that some motivational speakers describe as a turnback moment. And essentially, this is a point where adversity pushes you to the edge and you have to choose between perseverance and giving up. It's almost likely there's a fork in the road with two paths, and you have to decide which one to be able to take. So for you specifically, obviously when you walked into the office that Monday morning and that coach gave you that, painful news to be able to kind of bestow upon, um, you had to kind of make a decision, I can, continue to chase this basketball dream I've always wanted, or I can, kind of quit and throw in the towel. Kind of what helped you stay the course and keep on doing and following and chasing your dreams?
Mhm. It's really funny that you asked me this because I feel like even right now and during that time is like a similar situation where I feel like I've needed to not only reflect but like really like dial back on or realize what I really want to do. Because during that time when I got cut, it was definitely something where it's like, all right, if I keep going, it could be really bad for me, or if I keep going, something really good can come out of this. And, I always, like I told you before, like I always wanted to play basketball. My goal was always to continue to play basketball no matter what, like in college or past college. Um, so that's really kind of what drove me to make the decision to continue playing because I knew as much as I just got cut and as much as like my situation is horrendous, like I need to find a way to get better and to really figure out how I can get out of this because when I do, I could really reap some benefits from it. And I feel like a lot of the help from that came from my mom, just having a lot of talks with her about, how I can get better, what can I control in this situation right now. And how to just like let the noise just go. Because there's a lot of people now in my ear telling me like, hey, like now you're not playing basketball, like what are you gonna do? Or like a lot of coaches weren't responding to my emails, like why are you continuing to go if nobody's even giving you a chance? Like, nah, like like I continue to have in that mindset that not only you can control, but you also control your own destiny no matter what. And it's like no matter what is going on in your life, it's always you who controls your destiny. Like no matter how many people tell you no or know how many times you do something and you fail, like there's always another chance. As long as you're living, there's always another chance to continue to get better, continue to find a way to improve from your last situation. You know what I mean? So I feel like that is really what pushed me to continue going, especially after, I got cut. And now like to what I just told you now about how I feel like I'm in a similar situation right now, is that, once I got to NYU, made the team, I didn't play the first year, second year I played a lot more this year. And now like this senior year, it's like I can either lock in on, like getting like an internship in finance, working at JP Morgan, all this cool stuff, where I can continue to chase the dream that I've always had for myself. And, like it has been tough, to think about, all right, I might be missing out on this opportunity to get this internship, but I'm chasing what I really want in my life. And, I've really felt that what I've been doing this summer is really gonna help me, get to a point in my life that I'm gonna be very happy about in the next, few years or so. And I'm just glad that I'm continuing to control what I can control and work as hard as I possibly can. And honestly, consistency has been very helpful in finding ways for me to believe in the journey and believe in this process. So I feel like right now I'm also in that same situation I was at F&M where it's like, all right, bro, like you can either really dive in and lock in on this or you can throw in the towel and become the finance pro that you're majoring in. And I'm just like, nah, like I really don't want to do that. Like I want to hoop, and then when I'm done hooping, then I can venture off into the finance thing. But this is do or die. You know what I mean? Like I feel that right now. So
Most definitely.
that's
Yeah,
what.
no, yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. And like that's something that really, people need to kind of really kind of think about and introspect about, like, like what you really, your purpose in life, your why. That's going to be a funny caveat because that's going to be the next thing I'm going to ask you about in a little bit. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. Just kind of having that time to really kind of dig deep and really realize, okay, what are my goals in life? What do I want to accomplish? How am I going to get there? Right. So that's very special. I mean, you already answered this next question I'm going to ask you. So I mean, if you feel like you already answered it, no worries. We can move to the next. But let's see, where am I? It says, was there ever a time when it felt like your effort wasn't translating into your results? even in those moments when it felt like progress was out of reach, what gave you the strength to keep on striving? Was there something bigger behind your grind, like a specific mantra, purpose, vision, or what motivational speaker Eric Thomas likes to ask you, what's your why, essentially?
Mhm. Um, so to answer the first question about like the efforts thing, I definitely felt like going into F&M, that's where I was at. Where it was like I'm putting in the maximum effort, but receiving minimal gain. And I felt like that was very apparent in my F&M time. Um, but I feel like after I left F&M and I went to NYU, I would like talk to my mom a lot about working hard and like all this type of stuff, like always putting in work and stuff like that. And my mom was always like, it doesn't matter how hard you work, like you can be the hardest worker in the room. At the end of the day, everyone is worried about the result. Like the result is what's actually going to be the I guess the factor or um the deciding factor in what work you put in. And like when I would work hard at F&M and receive minimal benefit out of it. I really thought about that. And that maybe shift my focus from instead of working harder, like I still work very hard. I work very hard every single day. Instead of working harder, working smarter. I feel like being able to understand the difference between working hard and working smart is something huge, especially once you get to the levels we're at with our sport, the levels we want to get to. I feel like that's so important to realize is just like working smarter instead of working harder because you need to be able to at the end of the day it's a marathon. Like this whole journey is a very long journey and sometimes there's going to be places in the journey where you're going to have to sprint the unknown. Um but there's also times where you have to, you know, understand where your body's at or understand where your mind's at and really lock in on that before you continue to work hard. So I think to that question is that's my answer to that. And then for my why, I mean I've always loved basketball. Like I love getting better every day. I love meeting people who have the same goals in mind, whether it's in basketball, like putting their all into basketball, putting their all into like their other sport or even finance. Like I love people who really have an aspiration and really chase that aspiration every day. I love seeing that and I love being around that. Um and then also like I just do it for, my mom, my dad, my brother. Like I do it for them all the time, like I just always think about their sacrifices and what they've done. Like both my parents came from Ivory Coast, were immigrants here, and they made a life for me that they could have never had for themselves. And I'm forever grateful for that. So I want to be able to create that a life for them a life for them that they're happy about for me and also for the kids that I'm going to have in my future. So I think my why is just, them and, making having a good family and stuff like that. So that's my why. That's my why for sure.
It's very special moves. Like, yeah, no, that definitely I could see it like in your in your passion and your grit for doing things. Like you definitely, have a driving factor. And that's very, special and that's very significant to be able to, obviously get you to like push through and again be resilient in
Mhm.
those difficult times when you're facing, those tough times. So
I could ask you what's your why if I
no,
may.
definitely. For me, a great question. You're putting me on the spot out here, huh?
uh,
Yeah, I would say for sure my why is just kind of I do it for my family as well. Like very similar to you, me being, a first generation Nigerian American,
Mhm.
family coming in the 80s, from Nigeria. Definitely, had to really kind of get it out the mud, and just kind of make a way out of no way, really. I have a lot of respect for my family, my parents, that they got me there. It's funny because my family's a big track family. Like my late uncle actually ran in the Olympics. I never really told anyone that, but
Really?
we kind of have this mantra now called conquer every hurdle because he was a hurdler, ran for Nigeria. But just how my parents were able to sacrifice and move across the world and, go through all that adversity for me, I
Wow.
need to now, like, they've handed me the baton and now I'm gonna
Literally. Literally.
run my race and do what I can
Uh,
for the rest of my family, So that's kind of the biggest part of myself and my why. And also additionally, I would say another thing for my why is just become, the best version of myself. Every time like I'm faced with some sort of like, tough time or some sort of tragedy, obviously me being a very religious person, like I do it for Christ, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is going to be James 1 verses 2 through 3, which is essentially saying, dear brothers and sisters, when trials and tribulations come, embrace them because that's going to be a fact of growth and endurance.
mhm.
So I definitely would say, like, obviously religiously, like that verse and just kind of like being a follower of Christ is my why, and as well as my family. That's probably my biggest why as well. And then also just kind of looking at myself and my younger self. I know, like, when I was a child, I had insecurities as a child. I grew up in a very affluent area, which is great. It was very homogenous, a very predominantly white area, and being a Nigerian American in that area was very difficult. I faced a lot of just kind of difficulty growing up,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So I
Yep.
kind of look at myself now and just really see everything I've become and all my ability to embody like confidence and just embrace myself and being authentic. Looking at myself and looking at my younger self when I was 12 years old and looking how far I've come, I do it for him. I do it for my younger self as well. So those are probably the big three I like to say of the things that kind of really motivate me and drive me every day. And that's
Mhm.
what I consider my why. So
That's
yeah.
fire, bro. I wish I took some whys from you now that I heard your answer as well.
Man, no, they're always revolving though, like every year you live, your why can be refined, which I feel like is really cool as well. So um absolutely. All right. So obviously, like, look at you now, like coming from, you as a first year to like how you are now. You were able to transfer to NYU, become the manager of the team, and ended up walking onto the team. That team ended up going to the D3 national championship. So coming from being cut your first year with an uncertainty of even playing basketball at the collegiate level to becoming a potential national champion and playing a significant role in NYU winning or like potentially winning that title is a very unique and extraordinary experience. How did it feel seeing your dreams that were unclear at one point come into fruition?
Yeah, I mean, I, it's funny because I feel like I'm always in this constant need for getting better. I think it's called Kaizen or Kaizen. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's like a Japanese phrase, and it means the constant act of getting better. And I feel like I've always felt that way when it comes to basketball or like a lot of my outside stuff in my life. I feel like I've always wanted to get better at what I'm doing. And it's funny because in a way, like I could also see it. Like I would go from behind the bench to the end of the bench to the start of the bench during the start of the game. And now my next goal is to start the game. And then after start the game, I want to finish the game. It's like it's this constant wanting to get better that I'm always thinking of, and I've always enjoyed to see, and like that's always what pushes me, and like just being able to see just my growth from like behind the bench to end of the bench to the start of the bench from just 1 year, it's just crazy to think about, and I have so much gratitude and just I'm just so happy for my work finally being able to be paid off. But it's like it's tough because it's tough to for me at least just to look at that stuff and not be like, okay, I can really go somewhere with this. I can really do more. You know what I mean? So I feel like I love when people ask me that because it makes me realize like I really I like as much, I do have gratitude for these situations and everything that's happened, but I'm always wanting more. Like I always feel like I need to do more, but there's always room and there's always a time where you need to show gratitude for your situations and when we got to the national championship and we were walking into the court and warming up for the game, I really had like a moment where I was like, damn, like I really like have gone some places that I never thought I could have if it wasn't for the work that I put in and being prepared for the situations I was given. So it really is like something you have to have gratitude for, and like I'd say that's the biggest word of that process, just having gratitude for everything that's going on.
Most definitely, man. I agree, man. Again, gratitude is very big, and just kind of seeing what you've done, tells you a whole lot. So yeah, it's very important, man, and it's awesome. All right. This is gonna be our last, like, really, like, kind of like focus question. And then we're gonna get into some more softball questions after that.
Mm.
But again, once again, you probably have one of the most monumental stories, of our age. Again, that's very all the like.
All right. Chill, chill. There's definitely some better stories.
I'm trying, man. Yeah, but once again, like, you've been able to, have this marvelous, just kind of story and experience, and now I've gotten the opportunity to actually share that story. You've been able to travel to many conferences, specifically Chicago, the Black Student Athlete Summit, and kind of speak and share about your testimony going through your platform. Um, Thus, being in this position and being viewed as a role model, especially amongst younger children, does that motivate you in any way or even drive you to strive for more? What would you tell the younger generations with goals similar to yours or backgrounds similar to yours who may have, faced turbulent times and will want to, like, again, have that, resilience to be able to kind of have perseverance and go get through that motion?
Mhm. I definitely, yeah, I'm definitely happy that I've been able to be an inspiration to anyone who's gone through a journey, whether it's basketball, another sport, or in life. I've been very thankful that I've been able to share my story recently, and I'm comfortable with sharing the story because there was a time where I wasn't really comfortable about sharing my story, or I'd get annoyed when people asked me about it. Um, but that's just because, like I always am wanting more, like I told you, like I'm always trying to get to the next level. But I'm just so happy that I can be an inspiration for others. And one of the biggest things that I wish someone told my younger self, or I'm going to continue to tell to younger kids, is just never letting anyone tell you what you can't do. I feel like I fell victim to that when I was younger, just listening to people who said, "Oh, you can't make the NBA, or you can't play in college, or you're not going to average da 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 points in high school." Like I used to always fall victim to that. I always used to listen to it. And then when I started to realize that people would do that in like jealousy, or do it in ways that weren't actually in a friend way, but it was more just like a I don't want you to succeed as much as me way. Which people are you're gonna meet those people all the time in life, wherever you are. You're always gonna meet those people in life. And I feel like I wish I never listened to those people. And I want to make sure that anyone who comes across me, or comes across my journey and listens to me, knows that anything is possible if you put your mind to it and really be so focused and minute with all those things that you do in that journey. I feel like you really can be great and be something that you never thought you could be. And I think that's just the biggest thing for me now, is just like for me, for understanding, like I can still do the things I want to do if I can be as focused, if I can be as consistent, and not let the noise get to me. I feel like that's just something so important to know when you're younger. And I just wish I knew that when I was younger. But yeah, that's definitely I'm happy that I can be an inspiration to people.
Moose, thank you so much for kind of sharing your story. Again, this is very helpful. And I mean, it's just very nice to be able to hear. Definitely an inspiration and inspiring for many people to be able to kind of hear and get aware of.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna finish off with a couple, softball questions, because obviously you're a hooper, man. We gotta settle these questions, man. So obviously, man, this very controversial question. Um, I'm just gonna ask you, what's your take on the on the MJ versus LeBron debate? Who do you think is a better athlete? I mean, you can put Kobe in there too, man. I mean, we know Kobe, you're one of your favorite players out here with that Mamba mentality, Mr.
Yeah.
5 a.m. wake up. So
What's funny is that I'm LeBron I'm a LeBron go all the way. Um, but more recent, like the more I grow up, the less I like LeBron, which is like a little interesting to me. I don't know why. Like the less I'm starting to like LeBron. Um, but it's just tough for me not to say it's LeBron because not only do I think he was literally God given, like all of his abilities were God given for this NBA game. It's just like he's been able to hoop since like he's now 41. Like there's a lot of 40 year olds, 40 plus year olds who can't even play in a men's league game for 20 minutes. And this man is playing at the highest level possible and still probably the best player on every team he's on. And it's just like for me, it's just like, how is he not the GOAT? Like, how is LeBron not the GOAT? But I just I don't know why I'm starting to not like him as much. Yeah, I just think he a little corny sometimes. But
And he always reading that one page in the book saying he finished the book, man.
yeah, he always doing something for the publicity, man. I'm like, all right, bro, just
I definitely feel you. He's definitely a comedian, but I
yeah,
agree, man. Like, even though I'm from Chicago, man, and, MJ is always going to be my goat personally. You got to give the dude his flowers, man. He got that longevity in there for sure, playing since before I was born. Shoot, like, that's very impressive and still putting up those numbers.
yeah.
But yeah, all right. So again, I used
Sure
to be a
don't.
little Hooper back in the day. I watched a lot of basketball movies. What would you say your favorite basketball movie is of all time?
My favorite basketball movie. That's really, shoot, that's a tough question. Funny enough, I was in a I played in a street ball game yesterday. And like have you ever watched Coach Carter?
Yo, that's my favorite movie.
Yeah, yeah. So Coach Carter, I literally the first play I was in, I had like my boy passes it up to me. I didn't even realize I had a wide open layup. I just wanted to shoot it so bad because like it was the first time I was playing with this team, and like I was a little nervous, so I was just like, all right, I just need to get my first shot off and then let it go. And like I had a wide open layup, and I really pulled a Tino Cruz, bro. I pulled a Tito Cruz. Wide open layup. My boy passed it up to me. Smack.
Oh,
I made that 3-2. It was funny.
that's insane, man.
But I was like looking back at the video because I was looking at the film from yesterday. It was a wide open layup. And I just shot it.
No,
Um,
that's
so
crazy.
to say that though, I think Coach Carter is definitely up there. There's this one movie with Martin Lawrence. I forget what it was called. It was like the people with like the green jersey.
I don't know if I know that one with Martin. Oh, Uncle Drew, maybe?
No, no, not Uncle Drew. It was a different movie. It was when Martin Lawrence was like a coach of like his old high school team that became like terrible.
Damn. Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure
He
about
made
that.
them good again. Like I forget
Was
the
it
name.
like hurricane season, maybe? Hurricane season? No?
No, no, it wasn't
Yeah, I
that.
don't know then.
But I'd say Coach Carter, that the movie I just told you, then probably Thunderstruck. The one
Oh, other show with KD, man.
and the Brian Newell kid. Yeah, that movie's funny.
For sure, man. No, definitely. Coach Carter, definitely one of my favorites for sure. I
Mhm.
watch that all the time, man. Very motivational, man. Like, Samuel L. Jackson really did his thing with that role for sure.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, Moose. So obviously we know you're a hooper here and everything. I just want to know, like, for your pregame, if you have like a specific song that's gets you in your zone, that gets you really locked in, to be able to turn up on the crowd or whatever.
Uh, hmm. I mean, it's actually changed every single year. Um, Most of high school, it was actually Long Time by Playboy Cardi. Like most of high school was Long Time. And then, or yeah, no, going to my junior year was Long Time. Then senior year was Demon Time by Trippie Redd, back when Trippie Redd used to be tough. And then, 20, probably sophomore year of college. Damn, sophomore year of college, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I didn't really have a song because like I wasn't really playing. So like I'm vibing with the team. Like whatever. I'm trying to dance then at that point. Like I got like Buckle Up or like some like Zeddy Will play like because I'm just trying to get lit with the team beforehand because I'm not really playing. And then this year, I had like a whole pregame ritual last year. But it would be on some more like calm stuff like some Brent Faiyaz, some low tune Drake, like stuff like that. Like just like calms me down. And then like right now in the summer, um, the summer workouts is tough, to say it's really hard to stay consistent. So I just try to keep it like fun and upbeat. So I'll be playing Candy, by Camo or Cameo or
You
whatever.
go electric slide in there, huh?
Like Candy, yeah, that one, that joint,
That's that cookout music in there, huh? Juneteenth type thing.
Yeah, so in the summer it's more like I'm trying to get hype. I'm trying to, be excited for the process because it's a marathon in the summer, honestly. Like so, yeah.
No, no, I feel you. Summer training is never a joke, man. It's always dreaded. It's hot, it's humid, like you're drenched in sweat, man. You sticky, like nah, tell me about it, man. Summer training for any sport, man. It could be football, track, basketball, whatever. Like
Mhm.
it's never a joke, man. And that hot sun, no AC, all that stuff. It's
Mhm.
it's definitely it's definitely a grind. But hey, man, again, like that's that 1%, man. Obviously, you're a big Kobe Bryant fan. That's those non-negotiables he talked about. Like, you make a contract with yourself, and you're saying that's what I'm doing. This is what I signed up for. So if you want to be great, which we both are, and which any listener that's out here probably wants to be, that's the stuff you're gonna have to endure, right? So that's great. Well, thank you so much, Moose. It was a pleasure getting a chance to talk to you. Once again, thank you for sharing your experiences and your stories.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I mean, if anyone has any more questions, make sure to reach out to Moose, follow him on Instagram, so on and so forth for sure. But again, just keep on striving for greatness, everyone. We have Moose here, you have me. Anything you need to talk about or reach out to, just make sure to, just talk to one of us and just, get more information about that. Well, thank you again, Moose. It was a pleasure having you here on this.
Oh my God, bro. I appreciate you for having me on, bro. I mean, I know last week I was pretty difficult to reach, but it's all love, that. Like I'm not no celebrity, bro. Like I literally just don't be bro, my phone, bro. Like I don't be on it all the time. So yeah, bro. I appreciate you so much for having me, bro. This was fun.
Of course, my pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you again for tuning in. Once again, if you guys have any more questions about Moose's story, feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out to him. Follow him on Instagram. And yeah, just stay tuned for more episodes on Prolific Prestige.